Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Boss Roast After Dark, the alternative podcast show for the Boss Roast Network. I'm your host, LeRon Dawkins, and back with me tonight, as always, are my compadres, the wonderful Stephanie Klimov. Hey, girl, what's up?
Hey, hey, good evening.
And the mister of the Boss Roast Network himself, Corey Derrick. Dude, what's up?
Hello. What's poppin'?
You love doing that now, don't you?
I know, it sounds really dumb when I say it, so that's what I say. You sound cool when you say it, and when I say it, I just sound like a stupid white guy trying to sound cool.
Well, first of all, let me just say, welcome back. You guys were on vacation, and I missed you guys. Yeah, it was very quiet on the text chat this past week. It was, I was like, somebody pay attention to me.
Well, you haven't been sending TikToks either that week.
Yeah,
that's true.
Where are my TikToks?
Well, I feel like TikToks are kind of like a loaded weapon. So like, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know if I should send this to them because like they may yell at me. So I don't.
only when I'm in a work meeting.
Well, what business do you have opening a TikTok? Because you see it says the TikTok link. You see that?
I know. I like to be a little dangerous.
No, so I see.
Oh man, talking about something really important, like I don't know, making the business run, and then some TikTok pops up. It's like, oh, what's happening here?
Well, two questions. Did you enjoy your vacations?
Yes, I had a wonderful time.
Yeah,
okay.
It was a little stressful, but overall, good time.
Okay, good. And did you get any rest on your vacation?
No, 0.
Yeah, okay.
Then what the hell is the point of the vacation, Corey?
I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I went. I had a good time. I ate a lot of food that was terrible for me. I rode a lot of rides that were also probably terrible for me, and it was a good time. Guardians of the Galaxy, though, that ride,
ooh,
really good.
Are there any more wooden coasters left over at over at Disney?
Wooden roller coasters?
Yeah,
I don't think there ever has been any wooden roller coasters at Disney.
okay.
The oldest roller coaster there right now is Thunder Mountain, I think.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Because I know wooden coasters, I don't agree with. Like they don't look like that's instant headache, and that's how you get me to no longer enjoy the amusement park.
Yep. That's yep, I agree. But Guardians of the Galaxy though. Oh my gosh, that ride is amazing.
Isn't something about one of those rides like it's actual canon that you're not going to be able to experience outside of
it's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
It's MCU canon.
Well, what you need to tell us exactly what happens because I don't know if I'm going anytime soon before like it's no longer an event.
Well, I mean, it doesn't. It's MCU canon, but it doesn't like really affect anything. But basically, what it is, it's an indoor roller coaster, and what the story of it is. So Epcot is like they have in the back of the park World Showcase, right, where like each pavilion is a representation of a different country, and you can eat their food and experience like some sort of attraction that's based off their country, right? Well, Guardians of the Galaxy is called like it's basically like an Epcot country pavilion, but for Xandar, which is the planet where Nova Prime is located, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like their whole pavilion is like the wonders of Xandar, and they have this thing called the cosmic generator, which is supposed to be able to transport people through like wormholes in space to experience travel on other planets and whatever. And that's like their whole thing.
So basically, it's Ratchet and Clank ripped apart.
Yeah, basically, it even kind of like some of the ride even kind of looks like that. It has that hexagonal kind of like, tunnels and you jump through whatever. but then like one of the celestial beings steals the cosmic generator because he thinks that humans were a mistake, and he goes back to the Big Bang to try to fix the mistake. And so your job is to jump through time and space to stop him from resetting life, pretty much.
Mm. And that's technically canon?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But oh my gosh, dude, the ride though is awesome because like since you're going back in time, the first like you go up this like lift hill, right? And you kind of go and do the roller coaster thing, and then it stops you, and then it launches you backwards. Like it's got a backwards launch, but the roller coaster car moves, so like it spins. Like by the time the launch is over, you're facing forward again because the cars turn like Haunted Mansion style, where they like kind of, and they always want you to look at the action because the whole thing is like a big movie, right? You like they have projections of like the Celestial and the Guardians of the Galaxy are like flying their ship and stuff, and it has all the characters from the movies in it, and Terry Crews is in it for some reason, and Glenn Close is also in the pre-show, and like it's crazy. And at one point you're like going around these like banks of a roller coaster, but you're also going sideways because they have you orbiting the moon, and that you're orbiting Earth at one point, and it's wild. It's crazy. It's so crazy. I wish I would have ridden it again, but didn't have time.
And Stephanie, I know you hung out with Stoy and Pat for Extra Life.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I got to eat amazing cheese products and good beer. I had fried cheese. They call them cheese curds. Oh, so good. Bad for you.
I've never actually had cheese curds before. So like what? But isn't cheese curds isn't like not it's not the same cheese per se like actual regular cheese though, right?
I don't know. Like when I hear cheese curds, I was not picturing something delectable, but to me, it looked like fried cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And it tasted like fried cheese. So I don't know.
I love cheese, so like I'm pretty sure I'm going to try it whenever I get a chance.
Yeah, so it was great. I got to play a lot of games, hang out, record an episode live and in person, which is always wonderful.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then I went down.
Do that sometime.
We really should.
Yeah, for real.
Went to Houston.
Wow, what happened to my voice? Jesus Christ.
I know. Whoa, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, right there, LeRon?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm sleepy. That's what it is.
Yeah. I get it.
Just a side note, I'm really upset right now.
Why is that?
Why?
So remember how in the previous podcast, and we've spoke about this before, just super quick about the Harry Potter thing. In the past that I've taken quizzes, I've always consistently been a Ravenclaw. And that was back when I was really gunning for Gryffindor, but I still ended up being Ravenclaw. So I'm like, okay, I'm a Ravenclaw. So I went and I bought a Ravenclaw watch. And tonight I finally caved and I'm like, I'm going to sign up for that stupid Pottermore because I just didn't want to create another account. So I signed up for that Pottermore. I took the quiz and I'm mad. It says I'm a Hufflepuff. All these years I've been a Ravenclaw and I ordered a Ravenclaw watch and I'm stupid. And I can't start over. I can't like do it again. It's like, you are Hufflepuff forever. So I'm mad now.
Just don't listen to it. Just be like, I'm a Ravenclaw.
Exactly.
Technically, Harry was a Slytherin. Remember?
I
know. You know that theory, right?
Yes. But you know what? I think that just goes to show about just quizzes and questions in general. The way I answer questions now are probably not the same way I'd answer questions 10 years ago, which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, sorry, just side note. Also, I want to rant real quick. I don't want to take up a big chunk of this episode, but just for kind of humor purposes, because I think my rants are... Anyway, I love my family, but there was a particular part of my family that had sick children. And Corey, it's difficult to handle sick children.
Yes.
But the said parents just didn't want to take care of not spreading their diseases
Oh,
throughout the
Jesus
entire house.
Hmm.
I'll throw a strep diagnosis around.
Oh.
So I wasn't really happy about that. And maybe this could be for another time because, Ron, I know you have a topic, and yeah, I'll bring this up another time. But I'm now kind of in a position where I'm learning when it comes to other children that are misbehaving or behaving spoiled. I'm not calling them spoiled, but maybe they're behaving spoiled. See, I'm picking my words very carefully. If they're in your family, like what is the appropriate level of me speaking out? Because usually if it's a complete stranger, like don't just let the kids be. You're not their parent.
Yeah.
But if they're family, is the same rules apply? I don't know. So anyway, let's just say that's kind of the challenge part that I had experienced. Mm-hmm.
Understandable.
That's all.
I mean, I would say something, but I actually, you know what? I probably wouldn't say anything. I would want to say something really bad, but then I would chicken out and not say anything.
Yeah.
Mostly because I don't talk to my family all that much anymore. So, just fine. No love lost, I guess. But yeah, I would chicken out because I'm a loser, I guess.
I feel like I'm well. I don't feel like I've been told like I'm one of those people. I have like limitless amounts of patience and stuff like that. And I feel like I'm at an age now where I beg to differ with that opinion. But I mean I do have a lot of patience when push comes to shove and stuff like that. But you know when the kids, y'all see the movie Due Date with Robert Downey Jr.
Yes.
You remember when he punched that kid?
Yep.
That I'm at that point now where that would be me.
Punch
he
the
popped
kid?
He popped that kid right in his breadbasket, and that kid sat down and shut the fuck up. And the crazy part is he even warned him. He was like, you keep that up, and I'm going to punch you. And what was it? Was the kid? Was he like just poking him or something? Like he was doing something really obnoxious. And he turned around the kid, and he was like, "You do that one more time, and I'm going to punch you." And the kid looked at him for a second, like he couldn't believe he just heard that, and he went back to fucking with him. And sure enough, like it was like in Dragon Ball Z when Vegeta punched like Trunks and Goten. It was just like that. You like bow, and the and the kid reacted, and it was so funny because it was so smooth. Like he put his hand over his mouth and he sat him down on the couch, and he just patted him real fast in the stomach and gave him a look, and that was the end of it.
I know I've been mostly biting my tongue for stuff like this, primarily because of my conflict avoidant personality, and that's purely it. I'm just so averse to conflict that I will personally suffer myself. But I guess, sorry, this is turning into an actual full story. Here's kind of what was that led me to my final straw, even though I didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I love my family. Just side note. It was my birthday. I did not ask anything for my birthday while I was with family. But, they got me just like this small little cake, and they were just going to sing and light a candle. Apparently, one of the kids was eating something when we started singing happy birthday, so he had a meltdown. Kids aren't rational. That didn't bother me. I get it. Fine. Oh, okay. We'll sing again. No big deal. Like, really. But as soon as the kid got over that meltdown and they were singing to me, he runs up, climbs up to the top of the chair, and keep in mind, he's one of the sick children. Starts blowing out my candle. Parents did not say anything. They relit the candle, sang a third time. Kid blew out the candle a second time. That is where I start getting annoyed. I'm like, you cannot pull the kid back, say anything, and then the parent says, well, the twin sister is going to be really upset if she can't blow the candle out now. So let's have her blow out the candle. So they relit my birthday candle a third time I lost count so she could also blow out the candle. By then, I'm like, stop singing, stop lighting the candle, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at this cake being blown on by very sick children. So again, I felt ashamed that I got very irritated. But at the same time, I'm like, that was in excess. Ugh.
So I feel like in this situation, I would have had to pull the parents aside and like, hey, I was like, I'm not trying to critique anybody's parenting style here or whatnot, but have you ever thought what is and is not appropriate for your children to be doing? I would say it's somewhere along the lines of that, and be like, like children should know they can participate in things, but they cannot be the thing, And yeah, I get how was the child?
3. They're both 3.
Okay, 3-year-olds. Okay, so
Well,
I
see,
believe.
they wouldn't know. That's why it would be up to the parents. If Nikolai
Mhm.
did that, I would tell him what's up. Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you.
Yeah. You say they're twins?
Yes.
First. Oh, well, so they're twins. First set of kids, or have
Yes.
are they okay? So they have not had kids before this point.
Mm-hmm.
They're okay. So they're definitely still learning the whole parenting thing. They're
Yeah.
definitely learning that, but at the same time, you have 2 kids, so you have 2 opportunities to to like figure shit out. Yeah, I would have said something because I would just put it in layman's terms. I was like, listen, I get their kids and everything, but just imagine today was your birthday, and I came and blew your candle out, not once, not twice, but 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
How would you accept it?
That's a good point. Very wisely spoken, LeRon. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Yeah, I mean, and also, like I'm one of those people. I believe in I believe in treating kids like they're young. They're young adults. And I don't mean like young adults like like a high schooler, for example.
Yeah. Well, adults in training. Well, they're not
Yeah.
adults in training. They're training to be adults.
Yeah, because no, honestly, like when you start telling kids certain things, like they start to grasp it. Sometimes it takes a little while for them to understand it or fully process it, but they start to grasp it, and also kids also want to be treated, equally, like with adults and stuff like that. So it's one of those things where unless of course they're like the world's most immature child, because there are those, but I know a lot of times if especially because like in this day and age, like like we kind of fall in these traps now where we like we want to teach our boys how to be boys and we want to teach our girls how to be girls, but at the same time we also want them to like be themselves and stuff like that. But the one thing I know kids love is that when they can be acknowledged like they're grown up just like you are and stuff like that. So these lessons aren't hard to give your kids. Yeah, they're not. I don't know. I might wind up being the world's worst dad if I ever have kids because maybe this approach is just wrong to child rearing. But we've talked about these in past episodes after dark. I feel like it's up to us to like end our cycle of trauma that was passed down from our parents and our parents and our parents' parents and all that stuff. And stuff like that. And I feel like a cycle of trauma that is not. It's so pervasive is the fact that like our parents did this to us and we don't want to do it to our kids, not realizing that we're reinforcing the thing that we know is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's just the way it is. I don't know. Like I said, I might be the world's shittiest dad, if I ever have kids. I have no idea. I feel like I have all this knowledge about the ways I feel like kids should be brought up and stuff. And I also feel like kids understand the authority figure, but at the same time, you should also let them feel like they have a place at the table as well because they're part of the family,
Yeah, it's definitely a difficult line to draw, and that line is almost never clear. So none of us really know what we're doing. I don't know what I'm doing.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
You know what? You know what? I will say this: you're an awesome parent just for acknowledging that you have no idea what you're doing. Because like I've had some friends. They're like, this kid shit's a like easy and stuff like that. And I look at them like, this is your first child. This is your first child. You think it's really that easy? And then like you wind up seeing their kid growing up, and I was like, oh, like you have the makings of Brock Turner in your house right now, dude. and for people who might not know who Brock Turner is, that's the college kid that raped that drunk girl behind a dumpster. Yeah,
The one that got caught.
the one that got caught. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like any parent that claims that they have the whole parenting thing down pat is either in denial or just delusional. And I'm just trying to be real. Obviously, I'm doing my best. Just because I admit I don't know it all, doesn't mean I'm not doing my best. And just trying to take the middle path. I'm trying to take a little bit of every type of parenting style, I guess.
Here's what I know for sure. Like you're an amazing parent, and I'm saying this in the fishbowl. You're an amazing parent if you are trying to be a parent. It's and trying to be a parent comes in many different like disguises and stuff like that. Because sometimes trying to be a good parent means that like you can be your kid's friend. Sometimes trying to be a good parent means that you are the authority figure that teaches them everything that's right and wrong to your knowledge. Sometimes trying to be the good parent is like when you're the parent that lets your kid try to figure things out on their own, and from a whole spectrum of things, from like their gender type to their sexuality to what they want to be, their religious path and all this stuff. Like there's so many ways of being a good parent just by trying to be a good parent. And so it's really crazy when I see parents that are not trying to be parents. And I don't mean like they're busting their ass working like 60 72-hour work weeks and stuff, so they're just not in their child's life, because that's just an unfortunate side effect of living in the year 2022.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I get sometimes you're absolutely tired, and the TV is like the babysitter. But when the TV is always the babysitter and you just don't want to do shit, ooh,
yeah,
that's a problem. That's a problem. And I guarantee you somebody's sitting here listening to this podcast right now and is like, LeRon's 47-year-old man that has never had a child a moment in his life. What the fuck is he? Who the fuck is he telling me about this stuff? I'm not the person to tell you about this, but like I said, I used to be a child, and I look back at the things that parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, and stuff have done around me and to me and stuff like that, and I kind of have an idea of what makes a good and bad parent.
I don't know. As a parent, I fully endorse everything that you're saying. So.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sounds right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
Yeah. I know this though. I have a funny feeling that I would be my kid's best friend, but I would also be their parent, because like I'm immature as fuck as a 47-year-old man. So, I'm going to be that dad that's going to be like, don't tell mom, we're about to do this. And, if you say a damn word, I'm not the only person that's getting grounded.
Spoilers.
Well, I
Spoilers.
withdraw my compliment to you, sir.
Spoilers, LeRon. Don't tell mom does not work.
Oh, I know it doesn't work because 9 times out of 10, the dad that's always like, don't tell mom, has a wife that's like, don't tell dad.
Or more mom always finds out.
Or mom always finds out.
Yeah, usually it's the kid running up to mom and says, Daddy told me not to tell you this, but...
Or they're checking the credit card statement and it's like, skydiving classes for 2. Who'd you go skydiving with?
Well, I don't want to be a hypocrite because this is close, but the whole don't tell thing, I actually go, hey, Nikolai, don't tell Lau and Lau, my parents. Because it's more like, so I'm kind of doing it too. And I was nervous. I was like, he's going to tell him. That fucker didn't tell him. I was so proud of him. He can keep a secret.
Man, kids. Good times.
Yeah. So we got for a topic, LeRon. You wanted to bring something to the table, or did we need to do patron? I don't know. I'm kind of.
Yeah, let's do
we need to do
patrons
We need
first.
to do patrons.
So yeah, you can support Boss Rush After Dark as well as our other shows here by heading over to Patreon, patreon.com/Boss Rush Network, where you can get early access to 5 shows for just $1. But if you want to be a Patreon producer, you can subscribe to our $5 tier. What does that mean? It means you get early access plus a shout out on this show. So without further ado, our Patreon producers for this episode of Boss Rush After Dark are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian Skipper, my wife, Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Rebecca Jewell, and our newest Patreon producer, Always on Deck Comedy.
Yay!
Welcome to the show. Thank you to all of our Patreon producers. Thank you to our patrons. And thank you to all of our free listeners. Remember, all of our content remains free. We just provide some perks if you support us. If you are a free listener, we encourage you to leave us a 5-star rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you're watching the video on YouTube, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like the video, hit the bell for notifications, all those YouTube-y things. And I don't know. Tell everybody how pretty they are. I don't know. That's all I got. That's all I got.
Thank you. Well, no. I feel no. I know it sounds so patronizing right now, but I mean, I feel like honestly, like we don't thank you enough for the stuff that you do behind the scenes here at the Boss Rush Network. So no, for real, thank you, dude. All right, so like this might wind up being a hot button topic here tonight, but you know we're no stranger to those, are we?
Nope.
All right, so I told you guys earlier today that I was thinking about speaking about this, so I'm just gonna put it out there on the table, like why are people a certain way that they have a hard time, like, you know, like acknowledging people's preferred pronouns or personal identifications? Why is that? I feel like we're in this weird ass age, and I'm not sure if it's just people rebelling against political correctness or whatnot, or what is it, or you know, people just don't want to acknowledge, you know, like I don't want to say pronouns are even like a queer or LGBTQ thing, but you know, like non-binaryism is part of the queer community, you know, but at the same time, you know, I feel like anybody, like, you know, like you don't have to be queer to say like I prefer to not be called this versus that, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to figure out like what the big deal is, because just like how, for example, like I introduce myself, I say hello, my name is LeRon, and my name is LeRon, but you know, my name is LeRon, but I prefer you call me by this, you know, by use this instead of using my name LeRon, you know, like, you know, that's kind of easy for people to get. So in the same grasp, you know, why is this so hard for someone to say like, hey, like I prefer not to be associated as a male or female, you know, and people just wind up getting their panties in a twist.
Yeah, and I'll say, just to clarify, because this is the clarification I sought from you, LeRon, is the difference between just getting the pronoun correct in the beginning, or if it's just after the person has requested being referred to a certain way. Because I'll admit, my biggest fear, and it's going to happen, is not even intentionally make an assumption, but just how I've grown up for 34 years. If someone is male appearing or female appearing, I just would default to he or she. And I know I'm going to make a mistake one day. And I just want to say to anyone out there, it's going to be non-intentional. And once they correct me, I'm going to apologize for 20 minutes. But I believe, LeRon, you're talking about if someone says, I would like to be referred to as they.
And then,
correct?
and then
then they continue to be like, no.
And then people go out of their way.
He is it's people who are very, very fixated on, well, like,
are they fixated on the queerness? Or is that what it is?
I'm trying to get in their mind. Maybe it's more of a, well, I hate to be crude, but like this is kind of how they think, right? Like what's between your legs, that's what you are. Like
Oh, yeah.
none of this you pick your own gender stuff. Like I'm going to assume that might be one of the reasons. It's again hard for me to fathom. I mean, I'm not going to even remotely try to side with them, but let me just start from the ground up. Part of me as a person with I'm not a medical doctor, but I do have a doctor's degree in the medical field where I do think of things in a biological way.
Mm-hmm.
Like I do feel it's important that there is a biological sex. That's not something that we're doing on purpose to be bigots. No, we are born with chromosomes that determine a biological sex, which is important for hormone production and reproduction. And I still don't think there's anything wrong with that. However, I am treating this as how people just like to be referenced and what they identify with, and what identifying as is different than biological sex. Yet some people still consider that the same. So is my explanation like kind of starting to become clear? Like some people just can't tease out the difference between a biological sex versus their gender identity.
Mm-hmm.
So if that person is a born male but wants to be referred to as they or even she, they're just like, no, you're a man, so you're going to be a he. I don't know. I have heard that before.
Yeah.
Pitiful and disrespectful if someone is being open and wants to be referred by a certain pronoun, then why you got to go out of your way and be a jerk? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just don't know. Because, well, here's something to also put in perspective, right? Now I understand, like, like there was a time when like they, and calling someone they them was actually meant to be insulting. Like, like it was an easy way to devalue someone's personhood real fast by calling them outside of their gender. It was as a matter of fact, for sure, like and he's usually thrown at people of color. Normally people of color were the ones that were on the receiving end of that, because, like, when I was younger, yeah, like you fuck around and say they or them about me, and I'm gonna challenge your ass. But now I'm sitting up here like, but now I'm in of a different mindset now, to where, like, like you can call me as I present, so I present like a man, so you can call me he him. But if you're not sure about my pronouns, I am completely accepting of they them. I am,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something I came to the realization of. Now, I don't prefer they them, but, like, I don't mind if you say they them in response to me, because you may be conflicted about, like, should you accidentally misgender me. I don't know how you could misgender me, but we're in this new age where, people are doing things a little bit differently.
They are. And actually, I don't know if this is, like, I might have to ask other people too. So I don't know if you guys have any input, but there are times that if I don't know for sure and I'm all nervous inside, I will use they, because I think it's the safest.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that's appropriate, because again, it's a true thing. Like, the binary aspect of gender identity is not as strong as in the past, and there are times where when you look at someone, you can't exactly really tell if either or, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying that in a derogatory or mean way. It's just that if someone were to ask me, does that look like a boy or a girl? I'd be like, I don't know, but does it matter? But I might not know, and I don't want to offend someone. I'm so terrified of offending someone. So I don't know if they is an appropriate default now.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
And let me tell you, for those people that can't get over it, you should, because I used to, in a sense, have an issue, but not for the reason that you think. As a writer, they is a plural. So I was like, but it's not grammatically correct. But guess what? I got over it. I just got over it. Whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know sometimes, it's not that hard, like if you were just like how it's easy to say like, hey, my name is Richard, but you can call me Dick, know why is it so hard to be like, hey, my name is Susan, but I prefer not to be called she or her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why people have such a difficult time, but
It's like a
also
Ting Ting. It's like a Ting Ting song. That's not my name.
yeah.
Go
Some
ahead,
people.
Corey. I'm sorry. It just kind of popped in my head, and I had to get
No,
out there
it's
before I forgot it.
it's fine. I was just commenting. I don't really know what else I can say about this. It took me a little bit to learn, or I don't want to say I wasn't ever okay with it, but it took me a while to learn that language, right? To start speaking that way, right? Like
Mhm.
sometimes, and to Stephanie's point, sometimes you just like you aren't sure, but like this is also like a communication thing from both parties too. Is like, okay, we all need to, as a society, need to be better about accepting people about who they are, but also I think we need to do a better job of educating and communicating with each other about things like this too,
Yeah.
and that's also where I think maybe some people are afraid to communicate because they don't want to offend,
Mm-hmm.
but
going back quickly to the people that intentionally continue to not respect the wishes of others, because that's a different story, right? It's one thing if Corey were nervous about offending someone and might not say anything out of just initial fear. The crowd that will just intentionally be like, you want to be called they? No, I'm going to continue to call you he. Another kind of excuse I've heard, again, so I'm just bringing this to the table for discussion. I didn't say before. I've heard is the whole, where do we draw the line? Because I think the example they used was in some schools, kids are now identifying as cats and dogs. Like, are we going to refer to them as animals too? So like they kind of throw
Kids have been doing that since the beginning of fucking time, though.
No, I
Like,
know. I'm just like that's
well,
like
no.
another
I'm
excuse.
just saying it out in the vacuum. That's all.
hmm Which is like, I don't know. I just don't think that throwing out just random examples that have nothing to do with the situation is not a good argument for respecting someone's wishes.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's fucked up because I keep coming back to this point. It's like how would you prefer for like people to talk about you and treat you? Then why can't you give that same courtesy to someone that actually presents themselves and says, "Hey, this is what I would like to be referred to." It's 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 a bunch of fuckery. That's what it is.
Well, the fact that you have to keep going back to that point only proves that this is really simple. It's not asking for much.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that it's, such disrespect is still okay. And I feel like if someone wants to be an ally, or if they're even part of the community, is to speak up.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can really say in that.
Yeah. Well, that's my topic. I don't want to beat it into the ground, especially given that I keep saying the same point. Like I've said the same point 3 times now. So
it's okay. May I ask, like, was there a particular reason why this came to mind?
Well, I think it's because thank God there. It's all politics. Thank God there was this red tsunami that was predicted. This last election cycle and stuff like that. But I've noticed all of a sudden like things have gone back to oh well, we couldn't get our way and take like the House and the Senate, so we're gonna be back on our bullshit now. Yeah. So and it's stuff like that, and I'm just noticing a lot of things cropping up. In our pre-recorded segment for the Boss Rush podcast, we talked about J.K. Rowling, on her fuckery with trans people and stuff like that. So it's very funny that we wound up rolling into like a predetermined topic tonight. Hot off the heels of something that's kind of related. So yeah, that's so yeah, it's one of those things, and I'm so glad the midterms turned out the way it did, because like there is so much shit that really could have gone wrong if it went the opposite way and stuff like that, and Democrats retain the Senate, the Republicans basically keep Congress, by a very, very, very slight majority, and stuff like that, and apparently Joe Biden's not as bad as a president as people swear up and down he is.
I'll bring up a conversation that I had with one of my cousins while he was driving me back to the airport, and it really speaks volumes that what people focus on, and for whatever, and he was explaining why are people so hyper focused on one small particular issue or a person's identity when there are a lot larger pressing problems. Again, this is a very high context, meaning like, why are you so hell bent on pushing your agenda or pushing your opinion? So, for example, in this case, how you want to call someone, like with a pronoun, versus why don't you just focus on being a better person and being proactive with the like much larger issues than just being hyper focused on one thing. I just
Yeah.
thought it was very wise point, and it reminds me of, I think it was a Socrates quote, like, wise people discuss ideas, mediocre people discuss events, and like, I don't know, simple people discuss people or something. Simple minds discuss people.
Yeah, I've heard that, but I don't know what the exact quote is. I've heard that though.
Yeah.
Well, that was my topic. Oh, like Corey's distracted.
Yeah. Yes.
My kid is crying. I'm trying to figure out which one it is.
Oh no, goodness.
Oh boy, it's very late at night for that.
No, it's actually early for that.
Oh.
Well, actually, you know what? I don't want to I mean, if it's time to close out the topic, it's great, but I have something that's related, so it could still be the same topic.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, with kids though, I got an email from my school, not my school, my son's school, about
this about to be good.
yeah, what they're like teaching. And I think it's overall a wonderful program because it talks about a focus on all different types of families.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, click on here to learn about the vocabulary words your children in K, like pre-K through 2 will learn. And that includes divorced families, single parenthood. And I thought that was good, actually pretty good, because now I'm in those shoes where I'm a divorced parent, and I felt like I was the odd one out. Maybe Nikolai might be made fun of because his mom and dad aren't together.
Yeah.
It also had same-sex couples, which I also thought, okay, speaking from a family dynamic, that makes sense, because he has a friend on the bus who has 2 fathers, and my child did, and it makes sense. Like, I understand his question. He goes, he's got 2 dads. Where's the mom? So, like, I actually was stunned because I did not mentally prepare myself for this moment of having to explain that. So I hope I did the right thing. I first of all didn't create a reaction because I did not want it to sound like a same-sex couple was something out of the ordinary, because it shouldn't be. So A, I didn't provide a external reaction, and B, I said some families have 2 fathers, and I just kept it simple. I wanted to treat it like it was, it's just another thing I'm explaining to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're talking about, gay, lesbian, transgender, non-binary. And that's kind of why I brought this in, because we're talking about like gender identity a little bit. Now, I haven't talked to the school yet, so I don't have the context, because I was curious how that would be taught to pre-K through 2. Because if we're talking about those vocab words, to explain. Oh, I got lipstick on my cat's ear. I feel really bad. Sorry. If we're talking about from a family dynamic, so when other kids see other families that might not be the same as theirs to minimize bullying, I'm all for that.
Mhm.
I just wasn't sure if they were speaking about some of those vocabulary words from like a relationship standpoint, because
Yeah.
only because their kids didn't they're not at puberty yet. And let me defend myself. I definitely do not want to sound like I'm a parent that does not, like, was it the don't say gay BS that was in Florida? Like, no, that's not where I'm going for.
Right.
It's more like they define bisexuality, of which I am bisexual, so my eyes went to that word to see how they defined it. It says when you like people of both genders. My concern was just that my son would be like, well, I like my mommy and I like my daddy, so therefore I am bisexual. So like I was just curious, like how and under what context young kids are learning about it versus, or age group, age appropriateness.
Mhm.
So I guess it's a to be continued, but I just thought I'd bring that up. Like, I appreciate that they're talking about family dynamics, and maybe they'll incorporate pronouns in there too, because we didn't have that when I was in school, right?
Yeah.
But like I said, it's just like makes me think, oh, what age do we start talking about these things? And as a parent,
That's something I really wish I knew.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't know if I can I don't even know if I can come at that.
right? They see how I'm faltering for words because I'm like, I didn't really. I grew up with like there are two genders, and you have
Yeah.
to be straight or else it's bad. Like that's what I grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I believe in, but because it's what I grew up with, when I'm seeing the next generation being taught from a completely different lens, which is a good lens, I'm like, I don't know how to answer some difficult questions that might come down the line.
Mhm.
Like if my son goes, "Hey mom, I think I'm a she," I'm just making this up. At what point do I need to like is this something that I need to coach him through? Is this something that maybe he's not understanding, or is this something serious? Like I don't know. This is completely new territory for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh that's something I wish I had an answer for because like I feel like I don't know. Like you guys know I'm in a same sex relationship, so I feel like I feel like this might be an easy conversation for me to have if me and my partner ever decide to have kids. It might be an easier conversation for us because they'll have the first hand look at it, which is weird because like my boyfriend's gay and I'm actually bisexual, so I could see myself really messing my kids up. If a kid's like is like, okay, I have two dads, and my one dad likes boys, but my other dad likes boys and girls. Like what in the world?
Yeah, and Lauren, because you know me as a person, you can definitely be objective and correct me. Like, has anything that I said in the last few minutes, like, does that seem like my my thoughts are not in the right place? Because
No. It sounds like you're processing,
yeah,
which that's always a good thing to do. Like in all seriousness, I really wish more people would take time to process. And instead of having like these crazy ass knee jerk reactions that we see like we've seen the town halls that devolve real quickly into some bullshit because like
yeah.
some parent just doesn't understand, which that's the name of a song, by the way.
Yeah, and I think processing is important because my number one priority in the end is to raise my son A, happy, and B, the right way, whatever right may be.
Yeah.
And part of that is to support my child. I just want to make sure in whatever way I support my child is the correct way.
Mm-hmm.
And no one knows. Look, we're coming full circle with the conversation, right? Like, I don't know what the right way is.
Yeah. So a long time ago, my my grandma, who was like very forward thinking for someone who was born in the 20s, right? I mean, she was like really open to like other religions and other aspects of life that people of that time and even after that are not open to, right? But this statement will always stick with me, and I don't know if I brought it up on the show before or not, but she said, always treat people nice, always respect other people, always treat people how you want to be treated. Mm-hmm. You may not understand who they are or what they're going through or who they are, but that doesn't mean that they deserve to be treated different.
Amen.
And so, she told me that when I my first, right before she died, she told me that. And I don't know how many episodes ago, but we talked about how I grew up in an area that was not very kind to people that were different, and Stephanie's getting something from the cat right now. And I had to learn how to not be that way because that's how I grew up, Mm-hmm. But I remember that was kind of one of the things that she had told me. And, I try to keep that in mind when I don't understand something or don't know something, about someone, because that's also another thing. We have, especially me, I have always had a lot of questions about certain things, but that doesn't mean I don't support who you are or what you're going through or who you choose to love or whatever. I'm just trying to educate myself to be better at supporting, Mm-hmm. And I think we all kind of have that in certain aspects. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring.
Except for when you share herpes. That's not caring.
It's a gift that keeps on giving. It's the ultimate gift, some say.
Now actually, you know what? I'm not going to start us on a new tangent.
No. Okay.
Well, I'm done.
It was a good, healthy conversation, LeRon. Thank you.
Yeah. I feel like ultimately, I think we're all still looking for the answers to everything.
Isn't that just the story of life in general? Is we're all just looking for the answer?
Yeah.
And we need to be okay with that. I'm okay with that, but I feel like a lot of society, I don't know if it's more Western society or just society all around in general, there's this weird pressure, you need to know everything. If you don't understand something, then you're ignorant or stupid. It's no.
Yeah.
Yep, true that.
Some people.
All right, LeRon, take us out of here. Let's go to bed.
All right. Well, everyone, that is our show for the night. We want to thank you all for tuning in to Boss Rush After Dark, the premier alternative show for the Boss Rush podcast. Before we head out, I'm going to give my co-hosts here a chance to plug themselves and let you guys know where you can get in contact with them at. So, Corey, you go first this time.
You can find me at I am Corey NHC on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find me on the Boss Rush podcast, Nintendo Power Block, and various other things here.
All right, sweet. Stephanie?
People can not send DMs to my Twitter and Instagram account, Klimov_author. You can find my articles on bossrush.net and Wednesday nights on the Boss Rush podcast and the EXP cast.
All right. And as always, you can catch me on social media as well as YouTube and Twitch by looking me up at Exodus803. And don't forget, Tuesday nights, I have a podcast show called The Crossroads Podcast Show where we talk about video games, particularly Xbox, PC, and PlayStation gaming and stuff like that. So don't forget to check it out. Thanks once again for checking into us. Remember, if you're a patron, you're actually listening to this, 2 weeks early? Right, Corey?
Yep.
2 weeks early? Yeah, it's one of the perks of being one of our patron producers. So head over to our Patreon, like check some things out, and get in on the know and get things early. All right, we're heading out tonight, so y'all take it easy, and remember, we'll be back for a new episode of. Actually, wait, we're not. As by the time you're hearing this, it will already be past Thanksgiving, which means there won't be an actual Thanksgiving episode. So happy Thanksgiving. Be thankful for the things that you have. Be thankful for the things that you're blessed with. Be thankful for the things that you might not even know are coming your way. But there's that. Also, don't be a dick to your family. Like if you've got family that are dicks, just stay out of their way. Why bother yourself?
Exactly.
All right. We'll be back for an all new episode of Boss Rush After Dark, where we'll be talking about more things that aren't always content appropriate for our other anchor shows here at the network. So you all take care of yourselves and have a good night.
We love you.
So long.
Goodbye.
Platonically.